Hello there, Gecko people. How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to another Power Hour. Thank you for joining us on episode 7. Today we got a real special guest. I'm not going to say who it is. I'm psych. I am going to say it this time. We got Xenomorph Geckos hanging out with us today, so we're going to run some stuff with her, hang out with Joe, and be right back. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Welcome in, everybody. How's it going?
Good.
Hey.
Good. I wanted to chuck Reese under the bus for 5 seconds. It's Xeno Gecko Morphs. Just wanted to throw that out there. How you doing, Heidi?
Good. I'm doing awesome. How are you guys?
Good.
I'm actually doing really good. Other than shoveling snow for half the day. I shoveled all that snow, and then my cousin flew up the street with a snowblower and just did everybody's driveway and everything. And I kind of looked at him like, "You couldn't call?"
Wow. Wow.
All that, everything hurts, but good workout.
Yeah, I just waited till it melted. I didn't want to shovel.
Yours melted?
Enough to drive and clear the roads. So yeah.
It's not bad. All right.
You getting snow out there, Heidi?
Yeah, it snowed this morning, melted, got slushy, and now it's all ice.
Yeah, same go over here. So we're all on the snow side of the country today.
There you go.
Speaking of, let's shout out to the homies on the West Coast though that are volunteering and helping out with the fires, trying to keep people safe. Let's also, say our prayers to all the people. Hopefully they got out of their homes in time and that are safe, and hopefully it works out for those people and all the animals.
Yeah, those wildfires I heard are pretty intense right now. So we have real gecko breeders out there fighting them. So that's awesome. Sorry, I was throwing in the group chat that we are live. I want to bring people on. Heidi. So you've been on quite a few podcasts. Is this getting old yet, or are you like doing this?
I don't mind. Sometimes the questions can be repetitive, but new stuff happens all the time, so it's not that bad. And it's for the most part new guests. The only one I've done the most of was the Strength and Leos. I think I did like 6 episodes there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I've done stuff with like Ryan and Krista and Gary, and so it's been different, at least for some of them.
Yeah, and we've obviously we're really excited to have you on ours. We talked earlier how we weren't going to go into too much of the stuff that everybody has already asked, because you can obviously go on Strength and Leos and watch just about any episode or any other podcast Heidi's been on and find out her background. So what I wanted to know more about from you starting out was certain projects. Obviously I hit you up a little while ago about Skittles, but there's a few of them that you do, and I have obviously some stuff pulled up ready and waiting. But so Skittles, cinnamon, Starburst, and some crosses that you work with. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I mean, I work with several projects, but that's kind of been some of my main focus.
So We've had a couple of questions about Skittles specifically. One of them even came from me a little while back. I was kind of wondering if you could walk us into that project, and we can go from there.
I will say, just because some people don't know, but on my Facebook page and Instagram page, I do have albums and pin posts dedicated to them, so I do have the history laid out.
Yeah.
This
is what
isn't
you're talking about right there.
isn't a line I created. Yeah, the first one. So it's not a line I created, just a line I basically took over and have been trying to enhance over the last like 10 years now. But all the information's on there. It was originally created by Garrick DeMeyer. He did the crestedgecko.com. He now does Royal Constrictor designs.
Okay.
He's a local to me, so I acquired my original group from him down in like 2015 or 2016. And he was actually just starting to kind of get out of leopard geckos. He has a few smaller projects, but he doesn't really work with the Skittles anymore. So I'm one of the main people still trying to keep it going. And then obviously over the years, I've had to incorporate other emerines and such for some diversity, because otherwise there's nowhere else to go with it. And then the babies become smaller and I don't want them to be unhealthy. So now I just kind of say, my Skittles line stuff, but that's where it stems from. But I've pretty much taken it into my own direction with, crossing it with things like, bolds and bolds, and always back to the Skittles though. I'm trying to keep that the focus. The emerine, and the contrast of colors is the focus of them.
I had a question.
A lot of people they'll buy them and pair them to their clowns.
So yeah, I was gonna ask, what did you outcross it to besides bold? Any other emerine lines or tangerines to add to it, or just something else?
I had an emerald. An emerald I got from Ron Tremper. It was listed an emerald, but then he was calling them emerines. And but yeah, Firebolt, bolds. I think there was a red. And like I said, just kind of crossing everything back to each other, just being really selective on that, and then getting the different outcomes.
Okay.
They are beautiful animals.
Yeah, it's very fun because they're all different.
Exactly. Now, I'm reading something down here at the bottom about sour Skittles. It looks like it was written a while ago, but do you remember what is that exactly? Sorry.
Yep, so that's just when I was hatching out the Tremper albino versions of them. Once I added a raptor into the mix, just so that I had a very vibrant orange raptor. So I started getting a couple visual albinos out of that, and they were like this really cool highlighted orange and pink. So just for fun, that was just their little off-brand name as the Sour Skittles.
I gotcha.
So just a little project for that, but I didn't produce too many of those. And then anything from that went into my Bold Tremper Tangerine project that I've been doing for a few years, which that's would be the next one, which is like the project is called the Starburst, which is just named after the grandmother of that project.
Okay. So the Tremper version, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you know why?
So lots of contrast and bold marking. Just the Tremper version.
Gotcha. No, they are actually wonderful animals. Like whenever I go on here and I look at them, I think, man, I gotta put some money aside and grab a couple of these and work with them. Now, do you list them often? I noticed a few, but I don't think I got there in time. And if I missed them, it's
not often. No, I usually grow them out a lot just because they're really pretty younger, but I want to see how they get when they're a little bit older. And then people will reach out to me that might have something that was potentially a Skittles cross from someone else. But usually it's something like that, or someone will reach out, see if I have something that I'll let go. It's not so much something I've been able to list.
Yeah, is that
so right now I think I have.
Is that for an opinion on like age appropriateness or a size appropriateness for sales, or is there any like sort of thing you like to do first? Like I like to see them at 20 grams before I think about listing them, or
yeah. Most of the projects I like to see at least a certain weight and size, but some of them I've started keeping them 6 to 9 months at least because I want to see where this project is going and not just keep repeating pairings because the babies look nice. I want to see, because the idea is to not breed the parents forever. I want to, enhance the genetics there and move forward.
So I was going to ask you about that. What does forward look like for Skittles? Like, what is the future besides just purity? Is there a certain cross you want to work or add into it? Maybe create something new from it, or like, what does the future hold for that for you?
At this point, purity is probably not even going to happen. They're more diverse, I would say now. I try to keep the Skittles bloodline attached as much as possible, so with breeding back. But I just want, like, when they're really vibrant, to see how long they can keep it. I don't want them to look super washed out after 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So, and with each generation, I'm finding that they're kind of starting to do that, but a lot of that red turns into like a brick color. The green kind of fades out. And then they'll just kind of start looking a little dirty.
It usually has eclipse in it, right? You said you added the raptor, so do you think it might be the eclipse washing it out later?
So I haven't had any visual eclipses pop out of the Skittles. The one raptor that I put in there, and then I ended up hatching a couple visual trimpers. None of them were visual eclipse. So that I have yet to see. But I might actually, this coming season, I'll probably do one of the Firebolt line eclipses to one of the Skittles that might possibly be head eclipse and just kind of see what comes out of there without backtracking on vibrance so much.
Okay. So earlier you said a lot of people like to take your Skittles and cross it to clown stuff. So from that, are you trying to say like the secret sauce is the Skittles? Is for the clown?
No, I'm just saying they're really compatible as long as as long as their clowns either have no heads or are head for trimper. All of my stuff is head or possible head for trimper. Mm-hmm. So I just make sure, but that's something like people, if they have a clown or a clown cross and they're looking to outcross, they don't want to backtrack too much and they want to find something that has all that kind of coloration like the clown has without getting another clown. So they usually come to me and get something from there. But I just find it kind of ironic. I don't say anything because it is what it is, but they never say that once they've crossed it that there's Skittles like lineage in it now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you should say that. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I got
some Skittles written up here.
So I get that. I've had people do that with the clowns. I've mixed the Skittles with the Firebolt stuff, so I have some people doing that with their Firebolts, or they took the crosses to their Firebolts, because they also pair really well together.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
I actually had a question about you mentioned Firebolt Eclipse. I bought a couple of those years ago off of Danielle, and I think I've heard you mention her name as well. Her handle escapes me. Is it it's Geckoholic, right?
Geckoholic, yeah.
So with those, I still have the two that I originally ended up with, and I love them. I've bred them.
Yeah, because one of mine is from her also. 1 or 2 of mine are from her.
Is it really?
That's why we didn't trade, because it wouldn't have been.
Yeah, that's right. That was like a year ago.
That's what it was.
Yeah, so
I know
those. Yeah, because I was thinking about diversifying. I thought, man, if she has these and they're not related, but yeah, I remember that now. So, have you noticed anything about that line that kind of stands out to you, and that's why you keep it, or? I was wondering if you anything at all.
I just like it. I just think they're kind of pretty, which is kind of funny for me because I usually don't like patternless animals.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have a bold head stamp. I love Eclipse just because the black eyes, and I like the speckling on the tail. I work with like bold stripe Eclipse too, but I kind of put that to the side now for a little bit just because I had other things going this year. But I really like the color of the Firebolts, and the Firebolt Eclipse has that same color. It's just, it might be a little more muted, I would say, but it's still such a vibrant mango color, just no pattern on it. But the tails are probably my favorite part. They're just white with these teeny little speckles everywhere.
Have you?
So I want to start bringing in more bolds into that. and see if I could change it up a little bit, but because they all just look the same otherwise.
Well, I
I
was
like
gonna
that you
say,
called it mango. Sorry.
do you think about bringing in Cipher eventually for the black eyes and stuff too?
No,
No, just
I
keep
have
it.
too
Keep
much
it
eclipse
clips.
going on. Yeah. So, and with the cipher being, I think, I don't know for sure because I don't work with that kind of stuff, but I think they were saying like the cipher is so attached or possibly connected to the marble eye. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
it's always gonna be het marble eye. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's not going to be an option for me.
gotcha. Okay, just curious.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I like that you said mango. As soon as you said it, it literally resonated with me because, yeah, that yellow that they have is very mango like. And I remember seeing them initially and I was going to get them. And then I thought better of it. And I thought, you know what? I kind of don't want to go that way. And then Eclipse, like I'm already working with Eclipse. I was talking to Danielle and then she shot me the information of how she made them.
Oh, excuse me.
I remember it being like 3 pages of details, and I instantly bought
Yep.
them. If she's taken that many notes, um, I can only hope to be that detailed someday. So I thought, man, I got to have these, and I think I was just more than the animals themselves. I was impressed with her note taking, and
Do you
I mean,
still have those notes?
yeah, oh yeah, great. It's in
You should
their
read them to
profiles.
us. I would love to hear.
Great,
Them.
great, bro. I sort of understand them. Like she's
Yeah,
Danielle was on a
I
whole
have
other
it too.
level. Yeah.
All right. So you said you only have Eclipse and you work a lot of Tremper. Is that the only albino that you work with? You don't work with any other ones too?
Yeah.
Just Tremper.
Nope.
So what is
Yep.
something new that you're gonna bring into your stock that isn't like similar already to what you have? Like something brand new. Have you thought about it at all, or what's going on there?
I don't really need anything with the crosses that I've been doing.
No, you always need something. Maybe like a bell, maybe like a really nice rainwater,
I would maybe
I would say
I would maybe
rainwater
consider
Skittles would
like
be like a really nice combination.
no, I don't know. There's Tripper in that. I would possibly consider like I don't know. I don't think I really need anything. I've never worked with white and yellow. I had considered it, but I still never got one.
Why not? What's the holdup? What's causing you to be hesitant to get it?
I have so many other projects to do. Like I have like all different things that I could do and cross and continue working.
Yeah.
I don't need one of everything.
You don't need to be a Joe.
Have a genetic.
No.
What did John call it? A genetic library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I don't need that much. I have enough to keep me occupied for quite a while.
Well,
I think.
I did notice you did get something new though. It's maybe not a morph, but you did started getting what Fuscus and Hard-Wiki. Can you talk about
Yeah.
that and like differences and how it's been breeding those compared to Leos? I heard one of them's from the west side, the other one's from the east side, so they're like rivals.
Yeah. East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
No, I like them. I got them a couple years ago. First year breeding them this year. The Hard-Wiki are a lot like African fattails in my opinion.
Okay.
They're a lot more slow moving and calm and need higher humidity. The the Fuscus I like a lot. They're very feisty as babies.
Really? Your
But-
girls seem so
but they're
calm
really
when you
cool.
show them.
Yeah.
hmm As babies, they're crazy, but as adults, they're really calm. And I actually have all my girls living together
Oh, nice. In a little group.
because, yeah, somebody told me that they did better. They kept them in colonies, people that were breeding them in the wild type groups. So I'm like, oh, I'll do that and see how they do. And they do great. They don't lay all over each other, and
Nice. I like the little turtle shell on
So
the
yeah, that
back.
was good.
In in the Strength and Leos
Yeah.
podcast, I remember you said something about you wanted to try to temperature sex them. It was a few years ago, so you might not remember. But if you do, you said something like, "I just got them. When it's time to breed, I'm going to attempt." Has there been any progress towards that, or did it work or not work?
So I just incubated everything the same this first year, and I ended up with, I think, one male of each, and everything else was female.
Okay.
Yeah.
So well, at least you got males.
Excuse me.
I know that's like a really hard thing to get with those. A lot of people were saying that.
Yeah.
So
And I wanted to wait. I wanted to hold them back long enough so I could know for sure. Because when I was looking for them, people that had them listed as males when they were really small, I'd ask, can they confirm it? And then they'd come back with, oh no,
Yeah.
it looks like it's a female.
I gotcha. Let's see. I want to mention a couple of people that are down here. We got Brett from Bayside. Scott just showed up. Noble Family Farm. And then we have, let's see, Gabe from Repson, Texas. I don't know this guy from Infamous, but I think I know that probably Reese talks to him. Dragonheart Exotics. I'm just kidding, Angel. I know who you are, but let's see. Dragonheart Exotics is in here. We have Will. James Bacon. That's his name. Krista's
Sorry,
here.
Angel.
Hello, Krista. Oh, and one of our guests, Mark from Can Geckos, is here. We've got Gerona Geckos in the house. Welcome in, everybody. If you guys have any questions or anything like that for
So-
Heidi, throw them on here. We will get to them in order, but obviously it won't be immediate. And I believe, Heidi, you can see the comments. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah,
all those
I think they're
people
coming
that
up
Joe
in
just
real
named,
time.
though, they all want to know about Bolt Stripe. How long have you been working with it again?
The whole time.
Your whole life?
So 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, my
That's
whole
a
life.
long time. And in that 10 years, what is the best Bolt Stripe you ever produced? Is it better every year, or is it the similar, same, and then you get one or two really nice ones? But what's your experience with it?
I almost feel like they're better every year, but it's consistent every year. I've reached a point where they're always really nice,
Mhm.
and it's hard to let them go.
So you just got the best Bolt Stripes in the world. Okay. So that's where we need to go to get
Well,
them.
I wouldn't say that.
No, I said it.
So
here.
one of my goals, I first started breeding in 2016, and I didn't want to be really big or be the one person, but I did want to be known for bolts.
Okay.
So somebody that would be recommended for bold stripe stuff.
I mean,
it's my favorite to work with.
So you're trying to make a bold statement, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Nice.
Gotcha.
I wish I had that drum thing set up for that, man. That was a good one, man. I like it. I did want to take a moment to let Heidi, because I know I've been teased a lot for everybody, but I'm a good sport. So let's go ahead and teach Joe the difference between the stripes here, because I do understand it. I keep messing up when I'm talking about it. I feel like I cannot articulate it correctly, but obviously, so
Yeah, sometimes Joe has
teach me the
switching
difference
brain.
between the stripes according to you. I'm going to pay attention here. So I know.
Stripe dyslexia.
Yeah. So we got.
So first of all, it depends on your lineage. You have to have striped animals to produce more striped animals. It's a polygenic trait.
Okay.
Lots of geckos, especially tangerines, can hatch out with stripes, and it fades with time, whether reverse or bold on the sides. So what you're looking for is the background and where the stripes lay. So if you have the two, we're just going to go with the normals, not albinos. So if you have the two darker markings along the side, that would be considered the pattern. Like when you have banded babies, it's on the side. It's straight across, they're black. So for bold stripes, they're black. down either side. And if it's a reverse stripe, it's one black down the middle. And then as it kind of fades out, there'll be some color in the middle, but there'll still be that really distinct bold outline.
Yeah.
And then, then there's like patternless stripe, which usually fades away, and or there's just no like border. They just bleed into one another.
So there's no outline to the pattern.
Yeah.
And patternless stripe is what is in Raptor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So usually it's referred to them when they're babies because they start with a stripe and then disappears. But sometimes people still refer to it as the geckos that you can see there's a stripe there, but there's no border or stripe defining them.
Brett says my Fuscus I had in the male incubator came out 50% males. I mean, I wonder if that upped its chances,
I'll give it a try. I just figured for the first season, I would just put them all in the middle one, which is like 86.5, and see what I get.
And so how many do you have? 2 or 3 incubators then? You got the male, the female, or you got the male and the mix?
I have 4 of the styrofoam ones. I usually do 2 of them I'll have for, it depends on what I usually incubate by what I need, or if people want something specifically, but it's usually by what I need. So a lot of times I'll do 2 females, a male, and then I'll do one that's like right in the middle.
Okay.
And if I need to change it up for whatever reason, like if I know that there's a male I need to replace, then I'll have 2 temp sex male incubators set up just to up the odds of who,
How often do you replace those incubators? Because I swear those are the same ones from like 10 years ago.
Never.
On the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, never.
So they never fail on you or nothing? No issues?
Mm-mm.
Don't have to replace cords or fans? Dang, those are $50 incubators at Tractor Supply.
There's no fans in them. I just put there's no fans in them. I thought about getting one, but I just put like one of these in there in like a dummy cup, so I can
still air incubation.
So I can read what the temp is at egg level, because I know that they're they're a couple degrees off, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Awesome. I've been using these the whole time. Yeah. And they're like $50 at like Fleet Farm or whatever.
Yeah, Tractor Supply, Home Depot, you get it for $50. They're just little chicken egg incubators.
Mm-hmm.
For all of you,
I have one Reptibator, but the rest are chicken.
Right here, just real quick to show you what I'm clicking on, guys. If you go to Heidi's Instagram, instantly you can see she's pinned 3 to the top right here. Just in case somebody like me, who struggles with articulating stripe, right here you have her Skittles, and then you go right over to the second pin, which is her stripes, and then over here we have her reverse stripes, indicated by this RS right here, just in case Joe forgets again. But I often don't articulate these correctly. These right here, I was looking at, Heidi, are beautiful. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see reverse stripes all the time, but they don't look like this. So this is
Do you have adults that hold it all the way through adulthood, or does it speckle out all the time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are adults.
Those are adults. Oh, and there's no break.
And they're eclipse also.
Wow. And it didn't fade. Nice.
Yeah, these are beautiful. I'm literally I'm a fan of always going.
Yeah, I have to get some updates those, but
so
yeah, I've been trying to start posting again. It's been a few months since I've been real active on socials because of holidays and being sick. Like I had pneumonia like all through November, so I still have like a tickle from that, but so that kind of sucked. So I haven't done much for social or talk, but I'm trying to get into getting all the pictures, get my pairings in order.
Yeah. One of the things I'm interested in knowing is who. So you have 3 Facebook groups, and I know they're the 3 biggest ones. They have like more tens of thousands of people in them, and you moderate those three. Do you do it alone?
Basically, I have a couple moderators. My friends Seth and Sage are all moderators, and Shannon, but I
Okay.
primarily take on like the responsibility. But I've had these groups so long, people are so used to things, we don't get new people coming in and starting shit, so they don't really need to be babysat ever. I know a lot of people aren't trying to like get into Facebook groups because of groups they've been in before. So they're not okay, so they're not his lines, but that was the inspiration for them,
Okay, cool.
which is why I have the eclipse in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Garrick
Nice.
DeMeyer
So
had like my non-albino one, his were the Black Stripe Project, and they were the eclipse reverse stripes. So, but he didn't have any left when I initially met him and he had geckos left over. He didn't have those anymore. It was a project he had like a year before and didn't continue with it.
Okay.
But the video is still on YouTube though. I have it saved. Oh my god. Uh-huh.
so going obviously with Facebook, obviously I want to know who pays you, because there's a lot of work that I see being done to keep because I've only been in the group a little bit and I don't join Facebook often, but when I do, I feel like now I have something to do on there, because I'll just hop into one of your groups and look around. And because I don't get on Facebook much, I know that I don't comment on everybody's stuff. I probably should, but then I think I'd get lost. I just haven't been active on Facebook in years, but I read a lot and I see a
Hmm.
lot, and I can tell you're doing a lot. Um, who's paying you? That's got to be a lot of work.
No,
Three.
I mean they talked about it years ago that they're potentially going to pay admins of groups that were so big to run good groups, but that never really came around. There are some groups that
Damn it,
will like
Meta.
make their members pay subscriptions.
Yeah,
I've never really looked into that. I don't spend as much time in there as I used to. I'd be in there constantly. Like I would lose lots of time of my life in these groups, just not so much like correcting stuff, but just helping people because people would have these questions and then you end up having a conversation and other people chime in. And so now I check in every day if I see there's a couple posts that like maybe don't have a response yet, or you know something that might maybe strike a nerve with somebody. I'll just check in on the comments and just see if there's anything I need to say. But it's goes pretty good. And I actually run probably over 20 groups total, but the leopard gecko groups I run a good amount of those.
Jesus.
I run a lot of the Wisconsin reptile groups as well, because the other groups are full of like, the flippers and the scammers and
Yeah.
yeah.
so they always say if you want something done right, do it yourself. So that's kind of how I ended up with all the groups I have. People would just make me an admin and leave their own group.
Here, I dropped this baby off at your doorstep. Take
Well,
care.
just taught something.
So like I started, my first group was Leopard Gecko Club, and I started that in like 2016. But then over the years, people would be like, oh, they'd invite me to help with their group and I'd help clean it up. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're not here anymore. Or they're not breeders anymore.
I get
So,
So,
so that's how I ended up with so many.
that kind of brings me to a topic I wanted to talk to you about. So you've been breeding almost 10 years, a whole decade. In that decade, you have to see a lot of repeated cycles. So that's what I was wondering. Like, what are some of the repeated cycles you see a lot? Maybe every year, every 2 years, every 5 years, something like that. The good ones, the bad ones. How do you think we can prevent some of the bad repeated cycles? If you wanted to touch on that.
Um, Typically what I've been seeing is and things happen, but I do notice every year a few people leave and we get a few new people, which is good. But more often than not, it's the newer people that don't stick around as long. And you can kind of tell who it's going to be just off of how they present themselves in the community a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like you can just kind of tell they're not real passionate about what they're doing. They have no sense of direction or retain any information about the genetics. They kind of just pair whatever, try to make quick money, label however, and then before you know it, they're just kind of gone.
Yeah.
So we get that a lot. We'll get a handful of new breeders every year, and within a year or two, they're already gone.
Okay.
And then they'll try to like trash talk everything first and like say the market's shit and that they're
So basically, the
blame
turnover
the community and
new breeders.
yeah. But there are some of us that have been. I mean, I haven't even been around. I mean, I've been around 10 years now. I was kind of lurking before then, but I didn't have a social media presence at first. I did local shows, so I knew like local people. And that's about it. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this, I should probably, make a Facebook page. I did Instagram only a few years ago. And then like I got a TikTok like last year because you try to stay up with what people are using.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of that. People, they get in and they want to work with whatever's most popular. And then if they don't get what they want out of it right away, then, they kind of just shit talk the hobby and then they leave, which is fine.
Yeah.
But
one of the things
the people that come in and they are really willing to learn and show a genuine interest are usually the ones that at least try to stick it out.
Yeah. It's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of responsibility. It costs a ton of money. There's no, in my opinion, there's no get rich quick scheme available to it. And even I've noticed the people who make quite a bit of money, more than me, more than you, more than everybody, they spend it just as quickly on other reptiles and other things. But
Bayside,
the idea that people like they do get in. I have seen them come in, and then they shit on the hobby and all the the better quality breeders. There's a little conversation here and there about how toxic and horrible we are, and I'm thinking that's 100% untrue. I can think of dozens of people who are amazing, and I love talking to them, and they talk to me. And anyone who reaches out to me, it's just part of the hobby to be cool with them. So I don't really understand where I know there's going to be some bad moments, but saying it's really toxic and knowing that there's toxicity in all reptile hobbies, but I think ours is pretty clean in my opinion. And if I sound naive, sorry about that. I just think that, like people like you, John, Seth, Bubba, and then you got Reese, even like Reese, Brett.
I'm just kidding.
These are all people. Gabe. These are people that I feel like
Infamous
are just all of these guys are cool. All of these ladies are cool, and I've never reached out to anybody who's been doing this for 10 years, including you, and had anybody not help me. Not once. So that I can think of. Even when I was brand new in this, which I don't like that idea that people talk like that about us, because I just don't agree 100%. What do you think about that? Do you agree with it?
No, I mean, there's every once in a while, like I said, you'll get this. There'll be a handful of breeders where most of the community knows and will roll our eyes about it, and it is what it is. But I feel like for the most part, we get along, we help each other, we know what's what, and if there is an issue, we deal with it. We don't go to the other reptile communities and make a point to like trash we kind of police our own, I feel. And I mean, I don't go and look up other stuff, so I don't really know how other reptile communities are dealing with their own things, but I hear I hear from expos that this group is drama and this is drama, and
there's drama everywhere. That's the
world. We don't really get that. I mean, it's everywhere. You're always going to get something. Someone's going to bitch about something.
Yeah. So back to the question. Besides, the turnover rate and toxicity, like what is some other repeated cycles you might see, whether they're positive, like I said, or negative? It doesn't have to be negative. So that was just one example.
I guess some of the negatives could be when, like, I know, like if I don't want you want to say like times are a little bit tougher. So like if the market goes down a little bit, so people are like selling things really cheap or
Yeah.
whatever, or they're doing sales constantly, which I'll admit I've done a couple of sales this year, but I have a reasoning behind my madness. So if I have a few geckos and I'm kind of torn between something, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put up a sale. If they don't go, I am keeping them, and then I take them off of Morph Market.
So you
So I
force
don't know if
yourself
people
to
ever
hold back.
notice that. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like a flirty risk. Like, okay, I'm gonna do a little sale because maybe someone can really use those. And if they don't go, it's definitely meant to stay here. Because I don't need everything, and I've really tried to be better with not hoarding everything.
Yeah.
I have a lot of adult breeders that I've kept for years that I'm still working with, but I do try to keep fresh blood every year to at least watch grow up. Even if I don't intend on breeding them, I still want to watch them grow up for a while and just see, where my work is going.
So with doing that,
So
how
yeah,
many
so that's just
holdbacks?
something fun that I do.
How many holdbacks would you say
Right
you usually end up
now,
with?
so right now it's a little tricky because I did a few cross projects and I'm keeping all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably have at least 21 that I'm keeping just for now, just to watch them
Yeah.
grow up.
I raised my eyebrow, but I'm doing the same thing. I have like 30 males that I'm watching that I can't decide on who I want to let go or maybe keep for next year's project.
Mm-hmm.
So
Speaking of holdbacks, I just came up with something I wanted to ask, and who better to ask than you? The term holdback release. I see it all the time. It's
Oh,
all
yes.
over Morph Market,
it's a
and obviously
marketing tactic.
we've
It's so
been
annoying to
talking a
me.
little bit about labeling lately, so this kind of ties into that.
Yes. Okay. Because I
In
feel
your
differently
opinion,
than y'all, so we'll
in
see.
your opinion, what is a holdback release? And I'll give mine after, unless it's embarrassing compared to yours. Go ahead.
No, okay, so actually, like I said, I don't always get to catch your guys' lives, but you
Yeah.
had an episode, it was probably a while back, and you mentioned it, and you were like so ticked off about how annoying it is to see holdback release and thinking it's like a trick and stuff. And I
Yeah.
say holdback release, but it's
Yeah.
not a trick. What it is
Okay.
is a gecko that I seriously considered keeping. And the reason I put that is because people will specifically ask, like, what was your best stuff this year? If you
Okay.
release any, whatever. And I'm like, well, at the top it'll say hold back release, and then that's how you'll know. Or it's kind of like, yeah, like this was the best of the best that I'm getting rid of this year, but it's usually not priced any differently than the rest of its siblings. So it's just kind of like, that end of the year.
All
Yeah.
right. So
So
officially,
that's my reasoning behind that. It's not like oh, look, like it's just like, oh, I really wanted to keep it, but here it is.
Yeah.
so I think officially that then we just agreed is the term, and then if you have an old breeder that you're releasing, that is a breeder release. So that'll be a new term. You're releasing
Breeder
a breeder.
release.
Heidi's definition is king. We're going to go with that. Nobody change it. I'm not going to acknowledge it because now we have a definition.
Well, no, that's just the way that I look at it. People don't have to do that, but that's why I do it. Is because people will specifically ask if you do you have upcoming holdback release? Because a lot of time, like Seth and I would do this, where instead of holding back, he would just have holdback prices. So he would price them much higher than their siblings because that's the price if you want it, that quality. Whereas
Yeah.
me, I would just not let it go. And then if it came down to, all right, I should let it go. And then I would just put, this is the holdback release that some people were asking about. Or like, how like people will post like holdback and you're posting pictures of it. So then if you see holdback release, then like, oh, that's that one you've been posting.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. So from my standpoint, it's not to like, any trickery there. That's
Yeah.
just how,
That's what it is for me.
but
too
I'm not
now.
putting that on everything. I'll put that on just like a handful of geckos. But usually there'll be posts leading up to that. Like these are potential holdbacks. And then someone will say, if you release any, I'm like, yeah, I'll post and say holdback releases.
Well, thank you for answering that. I actually I thought of it and I was like, let's get Heidi's take on it because, I've got one and everybody's got one, but it seems like we can't really agree. But now we've all agreed.
No, and that's
we've all just agreed that this is the way we'll do it from now on. And anybody who didn't, I don't know.
people did not have to do what I do. This is just the reasoning behind my madness.
You just do what she says.
So things just this way it makes sense because it's like posting holdback or potential holdbacks, and then holdback release.
Yeah.
Especially if somebody's been watching it, because you never know. Because there'll be people that have stuff and it's like, oh, it's a holdback, and I'm like, if you decide to let that go,
let me know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of breeders who feel like keeping leopard geckos is a numbers game, but I've noticed that whenever I hear you on a podcast or if I look at what you're doing online, that you take more of like a humanitarian stance towards caring for animals as opposed to just it's a numbers game. Do you think that the numbers game is an okay mentality as well, or is there an opinion on that?
I mean, I try to not be like too nitpicky on that because I'm not in everybody else's position and I don't see their setups and how their care routines are. So as long as the animal's well-being is managed and they're not neglected in any way, to each their own.
Okay.
I mean, I've told people like the different sizes of my tubs and stuff, but you'll still get hate for it. I know there's a few breeders that are trying to give every single gecko like a 40-gallon bio, and that's just not realistic for me. But if you're only going to breed a handful and you want to do that, or if you have the means to do that, then like good for you, like good for your geckos.
Yeah.
But I have Rex, I have the few different size tubs and the way I do things, and
well, that's what I was about to ask.
they're my pets first, so I make sure they're all taken care of. They don't go anywhere, like they don't get bred, they don't get shipped, they don't go to a show, nothing if there's anything at all wrong with them.
Okay. So I was gonna ask, how do you set up your tubs? Like, do you have like a keeper style tub setup? You said you've talked about it, but I guess I missed that part on other pods. But
yeah, I think I had videos on it.
Or what?
Definitely paper towels, just because I like to keep things really sanitary. Because I like to be able to just rip that out, and if there's anything, because this is what I explain, like at expos, especially like people that are buying, they're like, "Oh, what substrate do you use?" And I'm like, as a breeder, this is what I use, just because. But if I was just keeping them, yada yada.
Yeah, of course. Well, what about
but I like doing the paper towel so I can see if there's anything I need to see.
Yeah, no.
Any like discoloration or
mostly for the babies. For my adults, I do a little differently. But what kind of enrichment do you keep in there, if any?
Babies absolutely nothing because they don't want nothing. So they get their paper towel, they get their little. I got this little styrofoam hides. After about a week, they'll get their little dish. Yeah, I got the little where are those? Yeah, I got all
the go containers. Get a gecko to go. Let me get one gecko to go, please. One reverse stripe to go.
Oh, I know. My husband thinks I'm so ghetto because I always take it like the tiniest little shit on the side of your dinner plate. Like, can I get a little box for this? That's 2 gecko houses, bro.
Yeah, no, absolutely. God. I can't do anything. I can't do anything without thinking about leopard geckos. I can't go anywhere. If I'm looking online, I'll be like, those would be nice hides. But everything online's a little expensive. So when you're out to eat and you have those styrofoams, it's like,
that's funny.
Can I get an extra one? I need 3 to-go boxes and a bag, because
it's funny. We were out at a really fancy place one night, and it took everything in me. And my husband's like, "Don't do it." But the lady came out with a box full of little to-go containers. I'm like, I could take this box and just go out the door.
Just run. Just meet me at the car.
And he's like, "Don't you dare!" And I'm like, "I totally could." Like, she would not even see me. And it's like, what are they gonna do? But no, I didn't do that. But it's just that's kind of shit does cross my mind. Like we'll be talking, I'm like, look at all those gecko houses.
Yeah, back in the day when I was bartending, people would take Coca-Cola cups, but we're over here taking free styrofoam boxes.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandma had a collection of mugs she took from dollars.
Oh yeah, the little
But yeah, so
ramekin.
as far as the rest of the enclosures go, like they have a couple hides, and the males have usually the bigger tubs, and I have like some like fake plants in there, like the soft touch ones, but
Okay.
I don't think they do anything with it. So as far as enrichment goes, like when I take them out, like I have a big tabletop with like a lip on it, and they just roam the table while I clean it out.
See, I want to
I'll
build
dump, like I
something like
bought a
that.
bunch of hornworms. Yeah.
That's cool. I want to build something like a tortoise box, but for leopard geckos, like a tortoise table box.
Hmm.
You ever seen those? Yeah, but something they could like roam through and like play or whatever, like while you clean, so they don't jump off the table, so they're insane
Yeah.
sometimes.
I mean, they'll still try to climb over the lip of it, but I usually can catch them before they do that. But yeah, they could just roam all around, and like I'll throw like some food down, like some sort of whatever
Yeah.
feeders I got. Like at the expo last weekend, I got a couple containers of hornworms, so that's what I've been feeding them this week, just for like whenever I take them out. It's like that's what they're getting this week. And
Yeah.
then I went and picked up the super worms today, so they'll all eat that tonight.
Cool. Well, I had another topic we can get into. Um, Education to me is obviously important. It's important to you. You're very educational. So, a couple things here. If you could talk about the cinnamon project again, I'm sure you love talking about it. The cinnamon queen over here, but
I don't mind.
no, I'm just kidding. But we'd love to hear about it. But the fact that there's so many miscommunication while there's information out there is like kind of mind boggling
Yeah.
to me sometimes. So it's one of those things like if you can talk about it so we can be educated on it. But what can we do to beef up education more? You know what I mean? Like in your opinion, what do you
Um,
think needs to happen where people can start understanding where to go to these references or resources or even finding them without word of mouth? Like, I don't know. What do you think we could do?
I think if most people, it's kind of tricky because there's so much information out there, but not all of it is accurate or up to
Yeah.
date or what have you. So, and even if you point them in a direction, not all, like it's hit or miss. So like knowing other people and asking around. So like everybody, like, I mean, a lot of the podcast talk, everyone's got their little cliques of the main people they talk to daily, but
Yeah.
reach out to other people that have been doing it longer, especially, or people that work with what the controversial things are.
Yeah.
Talk to those people and get your answers and kind of
what if-
compare, not
But what if
just,
those people are not outgoing, outspoken, they're shy, they're scared of rejection, for some reason? I don't know. I'm just naming things because sometimes people are like that. We ask for people to be on the show and they're so camera shy that they won't even come on the show, but I think they would be a great guest. So do you think that affects it at all? Maybe they create their own barrier to education because they're scared to reach
yeah,
out?
it can. I mean, I do tell people, like, before I ever did any of this, I never wanted to. Like, I never wanted to. I was fine with, like, I used to listen to, like, the Gecko Nation radio and all that. So I was fine with doing, like, a pre-recorded, you can't see me type of shit. But they're like, oh, when we're going to do a recorded where we see you, or we're going to do, like, lives, like, it would make me anxious. But now, like, I've done it, like, a dozen times. I mean, I still get, like, jittery, but it is what it is. It's something I'm passionate about talking about. And like we talked on the phone the other day for like 2 hours or an hour or whatever it was.
No, it was hour 45.
And so
Very specific.
I can just keep talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, right? He was trying to get off the phone with me. I talk too much.
I do too. That's why. And on my ADHD, it's like, okay,
If I get into it, I talk too much.
Out. And I'm like, oh, I got to go right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the ADHD that kicks in,
Mm-hmm.
and I just, yeah. But it was still a great conversation.
But yeah,
what we're talking about today.
So mostly like building that community and being open to talk to people. It does kind of suck if they're more like introverted and they're not willing to kind of do that, especially if they have a lot they can offer.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just a lot of he said, she said, and I'm not real big on, like, I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and some people probably like would be shocked to know the type of people that I've talked to, like some of the like real big people like, not in the States, but it's like I'm not sharing all my screenshots with people. Like,
Yeah,
that's kind
yeah.
of like our business. But I'm fine with saying like, oh yeah, I've talked to them. This is the type of conversation we had. This is blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
and if
One
they
of those
want to
people,
say their side of things,
you need to reach out to.
I don't know if he'll do it. He's not
I
even
think I reached
breeding
out
right
on
now.
Facebook today, but no response. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, you do talk to a lot of higher
Yeah.
people or people
Well,
that have been
I
doing
did.
it
I
long.
talked to him today. We talked today about the Firebolt stuff, and then he was telling me about some other stuff. But I'll probably ask him and see if he's that's something that he's interested in doing. But I don't know.
Nice.
That's cool.
He sits in the background and just observes everybody else right now.
I've noticed a lot of breeders do that, and it's cool. I
Hmm.
get it, but sometimes it can be very frustrating because again, it kind of blocks us from getting certain knowledge or understanding of lines or more of how stuff works without talking to those people that work with it. So I get
Hmm.
it, but it does
Yeah.
suck. Wish more people be open to discussion.
Well, and that's why, like I kind of said, like over the years now, especially because of I do put myself out there a lot to defend the hobby and certain things, and sometimes it just gets me nowhere or more trouble than it's worth. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I can kind of see why some of these like bigger names or guys that have been around much longer don't really participate in all of that online. They just share their geckos and maybe podcasts, but they don't
Yeah,
get into it. And it's like, I
No.
could see why. Like, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm
But
not
on
one
the
of
other
those
side of
guys.
it, it's
And
like, well, who's going to do it then? Because then it's all these new people that just take shit amongst themselves. And
yeah.
yeah, and then they're clueless,
so,
and the blind leading the blind after that. So
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know everything. I just know what I know from what I work with and the research that I've done and that I hold on to, and like with having my groups and stuff. I don't like pretend to know everything about every genetic, especially because I don't work with them.
mhm.
But the stuff that I do know, I want to be able to share that. So
Well, really
if something
quickly,
comes up that I see,
can you plug some of those resources that you maybe used when you started, like where you got your knowledge from and education from, aside from like people, like other things that people can look up and reach to?
so it's kind of hard because some of the like videos that I watched a lot. So I listened to Gecko Nation Radio a lot, which was David from David's Fine Geckos.
Yep.
He had a YouTube channel as well, and he would post like weekly videos, and he would go over different genetics and how to raise babies and how to mix supplements and all kinds of things.
Okay.
All of that is gone. So I can't refer people to that anymore. That is all gone. So I don't know if maybe if I haven't talked to David in a couple of years. I mean, he kind of we like each other's stuff on social media, but we haven't really talked in a while. I got bandits from him in like 2015 or 2016. But like finding out like where all that went, all that content, and can we get it back? Because
Yeah.
that was a lot of stuff that I learned off of. Um, I know
So
the
it's
Gecko Nation radio you can still find
Some
um,
of it, yeah.
either on Spotify or YouTube. The Strength and Leo's podcast was on YouTube. I think it's still on Spotify or iTunes. But he has a lot of great guests,
Yeah.
a lot of the bigger names that maybe aren't around so much anymore.
yeah.
But just a lot of information and different experiences from different breeders. Not so much like um, them telling you about genetics, just like what they've experienced as breeders for like
Yeah,
20
sharing
years.
experience, yeah, of course, which is still very helpful, which is what you're doing
Yeah.
for today, which is, great. So,
Yeah. So, and then obviously, like Ron Tremper's books are good sources. However, I have pointed out in the past, which people hate me for, but some of
yeah,
the information in there is not correct. I, I, I've talked to Ron, and he
yeah,
said that there might have been an issue with printing, with things maybe in the wrong spots. But they were going to, all of that was corrected on the website. So if you're going to look for it on the website.
And
gotcha.
nobody's
Um,
perfect.
but
Nobody's
as
Yeah,
perfect. So
Yeah. So, but I just said because, people will there was that other podcast that came and left, and he would go through that book all the time like it was the damn Bible. And it's like, oh, that's one of the ones that's not right. And I think it was before the reprint, or maybe it was after the reprint, but I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
And all the followers were like really new people. So it's kind of, that's what it is people that aren't very educated continuing that with the people that are watching them, rather than finding out good information and then trying to share it that way, or learning for themselves and then trying to find out.
Yeah, I feel like I would want to read
like legitimate sources.
Yeah, if I was reading a source in general, I think I'd want to go ahead, read it, make sure that I understand it before I shared it online. But that's actually a really good point. So, after talking to you today, I feel like if I was looking for information as a new breeder, I would probably just do what I could to, obviously watch this episode. And then if I found it, I would get on to your Facebook groups. But when it comes to finding good genetic information and material, finding good people to learn from, who would you recommend we go to? Or would you recommend we go to your Facebook groups and ask there so we could be led to those things?
Probably John Scarsborough. The Geckoboa site is like one of the best. He keeps it updated, and he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Like I said, with the Ron Tremper books, a lot of it is great, but there are a few,
discrepancies,
little things. It's a lot of but most of the information is there that you need to know. It's a lot. It's just some of the polygenic morphs. Their labels are not where they need to be. It's basically what it was.
Yeah.
So that just causes confusion with labeling. But yeah, definitely the Geckoboa page. He's got a whole section on genetics and morphs and what combos are and all that stuff. And but yeah, otherwise I run a breeding group, and there's a lot of breeders in that group. So if people have questions, then we just answer to the best of our ability, depending on what it is.
Okay.
People message me. They message me all the time, and I do what I can to help.
No, you are pretty good about getting back to people. I remember I've been bugging you for years before you probably even remembered me, but I know that right when I decided I was going to start breeding, I had been keeping animals for 3 years, no breeding, and then when I was going to, I messaged probably the same message to a bunch of different people, and you were one of the first to get back to me. I remember that. So, John's website, you brought that up. I think while you're correcting and fixing and working real hard on Facebook, that's where I'm at most nights. It's just not sleeping and just reading and on site.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good source.
And even in my breeder group, I have links to his stuff in there because it's you really can't go wrong.
Yeah. No,
what's somebody else besides him? I mean, because everybody should know John at this point. So somebody else besides him that you would refer to for like education.
I think it kind of depends on what they're working with, because if they have like goals in mind, like if someone is getting into like fat tails, I send them to Seth, or like he also does a lot with the white and yellow bells. I usually send them to Seth. A lot of Black Knight stuff, I usually send them to my friend Shannon. So if it's something that I can't, if I can't help with it or don't think I'm that qualified to help with it, or just I'll give my opinion and be like, oh, also you should check with, yada yada. I'll tell them a few people to go and talk with because they work with it. So it kind of depends on that too. There's not usually just these set people. So, but most of the questions just are, really average breeding questions. It's not so much genetics. So when it is, I just try to think of who's working with similar projects to send them to.
Okay.
Because they're usually just trying to figure out if it's a good match, what are good outcomes, any disadvantages,
The benefits of pairing for this pairing. I did want to let you know we're reaching the 1 hour power hour mark. But if you want to continue, I know you are, dealing with a little something, something there. But if you're willing to
Yeah,
continue, we could
maybe
keep
just we could do a moment longer. I will just for touching on the cinnamon, because I know that's come up. So cinnamon is a so bandit is a line, and cinnamon is the dark temper albino version of that line. That's
the
really all it is.
gold banded
Yeah,
trampers.
yeah. So, and I have a group that I acquired from David from Ron, and I've been working with those for a long time. I've kind of incorporated some other Tremper bold stripes along the lines, so that's why I say cinnamon line.
Hmm.
Because at this point, I'm not trying to have all this purity because I need the diversity. I need them to be healthy.
Yeah.
So I can't have. It's kind of like I talked about with like the Black Knight situation. I never wanted Black Knights to breed more Black Knights. I only wanted a Black Knight
Yeah,
to cross
outcrop.
to like everything else.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to do with it. There's so much inside of there.
So tell me what's
So,
across you
but
do
yeah,
with it.
so I did post. I did some Black Knight Skittles stuff.
Oh,
They're pretty cool.
I'm gonna go check.
They're
that
still
out.
growing out. I've kept all of those.
Now, about to say I don't see those.
And yeah, I haven't posted any since they hatched. There's no updates, not really.
Greedy.
Well, because
We'll
that's
catch
why
you
I'm
on the
keeping them
holdback
all to grow
release
them
sale.
up. And no, what would happen is I would just say like, here's an update on that cross project because I posted the pairing, like the two moms that I used. They
Yeah.
were my Darkest moms, and then my Black Knight male, and the babies as they hatch, and they all just look so different right now. So I'm just gonna keep watching them the next few months, and then if any are ready to breed this year yet, we'll see. But I just want to see what happens with that, and then kind of
Okay.
either breed them amongst each other, or back to mom or back to dad.
Go from there. So do you do a lot of
Hmm.
pairings like that just to see what happens and then build off of that, or not
Oh
that?
yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah. So I usually have my main breeders. So like I always do like my bandits and my bold stripes, and like I have my gem snow bold stripes, the firebolt stuff, um, and Skittle stuff. But then I always do a few crosses, and I usually kind of keep that back for myself just to see what it is, what happens with it, and if it's something I can continue working with, then I'll do it another season and see what comes of it.
Nice.
And if it's nothing too special, then they go. But that's what's fun about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it does sound fun. I don't know if you saw Wildcard Geckos. He's watching, and he said that he wants one of those Black Knight Skittles.
I heard
I
that
just want
guy.
to make sure because I saw that Reese put it on the screen. It was not me, but if you didn't see it, there it was. So I wanted to actually give you an option between two questions that I have. I always ask everybody the Mount Rushmore question. That was Matt Baronic's like kind of addition to it. He was the first person to introduce that to us, and we've liked the question. But another one I wanted to ask too is what kind of things would you recommend for Reese and I for the Power Hour for future shows? Like things you'd like to see us focus on or add to the show. So you could choose which of those you like, the Mount Rushmore or the other one, and answer that one.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I mean, I kind of already did the Mount Rushmore a little bit with people that.
Yeah.
So it's really quick. There's a few people. I don't know. Can I just do them both? They'll be quick.
Both, dude.
Go
Doing both.
for it.
Go for it.
Okay. So yeah, because I actually have a list. It's not that long, but it's like winning a Grammy. So, but no, so like for inspiration, like getting into it and stuff. So like some of the first videos I watched was like with David from David's Fun Geckos. So like he would always be an inspiration of mine. I learned a lot from his videos and talking with him when I first got into the Facebook Messenger. So he would be one. Garrick DeMeyer, I learned a lot from him. I got obviously my Skittles stuff from him. I watched a lot of his videos as well. He used to do a lot of YouTube videos as well. Um, a few other breeders that influence for me. Obviously Seth from Huff's Herps, Rudy Bright and Bold, Sam Bold and Striped, Carlo from Morph Revolution, um, and then he's passed away. But there was a guy, Mike Hoffer. He had a pet store, a tropical pet store in Milwaukee for about 40 years, and through the 90s and early 2000s, my dad would take me in there a lot, and he had a huge reptile section, and they were all naturalistic enclosures, and he would have morphs of things, and it was just really well kept. And I remember just hanging out there, like I wanted to live there. Um, so yeah, so like stuff like that, and then
Really cool that you plugged that, man. Hopefully anybody that he knows or is related to might come on here and hear you praise him. That's really cool. That's a really interesting addition to Mount Rushmore. Thank you.
Yeah, they shut the shop down in like 2015, and he passed away a year after that. But I spent my whole childhood going to that store, so
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
That is really awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Heidi.
And,
so now part two. The other question: what did me and Joe doing wrong?
I don't know. I mean, so I do. What did you do wrong?
What are me and Joe doing wrong all the time? I'm just kidding.
I mean, having me on when I'm sick, for real, because that probably annoyed everybody.
Hey, you agreed to it.
But no, I know I did. Well, because I'm like, I talked to Joe a while ago, and we were supposed to figure out dates, and that didn't happen. And then I had just been sick, so I'm like, let's just get it done.
Yeah.
But it's not that bad. But no, I think you guys do a really good job. I love this power hour between the two of you, that you ask individual questions, so it's not all, like you're just reading the same thing to every single person and sound all robotic like you keep it really like individual for each character you have on.
Thank you.
So I do like that.
We work hard on it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever have any,
and I like that you guys, you definitely take pride in planning it out. So it's not like there's any like, well, now what should we talk about?
Yeah. I feel like I'd be embarrassed. I almost feel like I started out that way too. So thank you for mentioning that as well. It's just, I mean, I remember the first few of these, I had to take a shot of like something just to calm my nerves. And I sat here doing this in everybody's face. So it's been a while. It's been a year.
Looking like a fly.
Yeah, right. And
no, I know. I fidget too. Like I said, I try to keep my hands in my hoodie pocket, or I have something that I fidget with, or like I'll touch my hair, I bite my lips. Like I fidget. It is what it is.
Reese was telling me something about I don't know where my hands go.
Talladega Nights, Will Ferrell. What do I do with my hands? I don't know.
Yeah,
all right. So what more if you want to talk about?
I try to keep them down, but when I get excited, I talk with my hands a lot, especially like at expos. I'm very, very like,
Have you slapped any kids at an expo on accident?
No, almost on purpose the other day, because there's nothing like a 3-year-old telling you your shit's overpriced.
You said 3?
Isn't the cheese over there? They're feeding those kids.
Damn.
Yeah. He just comes walking by. Why are they so overpriced? And it's like, bro, like I have. So the way I have my table set up is I usually do the lowest price to the highest price, and the cheaper stuff's in the front, and so it's usually like $60 or whatever, and then up in the back it'll be like $300-400, and he just like, why is it so overpriced? It's like, where's your mama? Like, who raised you?
You dropped your binky. Get out of here, dude.
Yeah, that's a smart kid, though. I mean, knows what he wants, and he wants a discount. He wants it now. So
well, it's like, it's not even like he showed interest in one. He just kind of like glazed over the table. And I have such a price range. It's like, what exactly is overpriced?
Yeah.
I only have $1, so everything.
Is there a 9 on that cup? That's the biggest number. And you're like, dude, you don't even know what it says.
Yeah, like.
That is funny.
Yeah. Well, Reese, what do you think, man?
I don't know, Joe. I think we
Yeah,
should call it a
today
night.
this was probably one of my
Is
favorite
that everything?
episodes so far.
Yeah.
Been good.
Oh, everybody's
Yay.
dabbing it up. Look at that.
Yeah. Heidi, I want to thank you for coming on with us and hanging out for an hour. For everybody who doesn't know, in the description, I have a couple of links to Heidi's stuff. She's got obviously her Morph Market, her Instagram, and her Facebook. If you're not following those, go follow those. You should be. So, other than that, Heidi, is there anything else
Also,
you wanted to tell us before
also
we get going?
go follow the Geckoverse
No,
Podcast on Instagram. Make sure you
Yeah.
like and subscribe if you
yeah,
like this
follow
episode
that.
and want to see future episodes. We got
Yeah.
Malav coming on later. I think we got Jeff from JMG coming on later. We got a couple other guests coming on as well. So we got more stuff coming for you guys. So like and subscribe.
And then Heidi, I also wanted to invite
Hmm.
you back anytime you want. If you're feeling better, and
Yeah.
I'd love to have you back. This was fun.
We'd love to
Yeah,
smell
for
you.
sure.
All right. Thanks everybody in the
All right.
comments for being here with us, for the questions that you asked to Heidi. Everybody have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next time.